Okay, we're going to commence with our Town of Sangerville Board of Selectmen Parks and Rec Workshop. And I have 5:01. It's July 23rd, 2018. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nobody wanted to sit in front?
Did you all sign in? Do they need to sign in for the workshop?
Yeah, that's over there.
Yeah.
When you.
Well, thank you all for coming. And this is a workshop, so it's as much your meeting as it is our meeting. We just wanted to start a conversation about rec department, pirate rec, the town's role, how all of this, because things have changed. We don't have a rec director anymore. And so we're trying to decide what.
So Judy's not rec director anymore?
No, he resigned. Yep. And so we thought this would be kind of a good opportunity to kind of reassess how we're doing everything. And we may all, I mean, it'll be a process. I don't know, is there anybody here that was on the budget committee? No? No? Okay. Are you all pirate rec, or are you all rec, or?
I just do what Jason tells me.
That's kind of what we do too.
I just recruited Hillary to help us, so.
Well, I think Dan and I are more pirate rec, and then Roger and I are Sangerville rec.
Okay, all right, so we've got a mix.
Yeah.
And then Ron has drafted Hillary from Sangerville rec.
Yeah. But if you just give them little portions of it, then you're more apt to get the volunteers than to say.
Just keep adding a little at a time.
No
Well, one thing
question.
that, just because I've had like 2 people that knew about this have already asked me about, this meeting wasn't designed to be about trying to cut the rec budget. It's about how it's structured and what do we need to do and that type of thing with everybody's involvement. I just want to make sure you guys knew that isn't, you know what I mean, the purpose of why we want to do this.
And it seems, in terms of participation and between the work you guys got done over there and between the participation that we see with the community, the children particularly, it's quite impressive. Yeah. So there's no denying its success in terms of measuring that.
And
But
its value.
historically, it's been kind of, certainly from a budgetary standpoint, it's always been a little bit clunky, or at least from the time that there were times where, when I was on the budget committee, it looked like we were buying athletic equipment. And then technically we didn't actually have any athletic teams. Pirate Rec did. And so there's this kind of, it's just a different turf. And now in most communities, if you had a robust rec interest like we have with Pirate Rec, that would fall under your town's recreation. But that's not really how we're set up. Doesn't mean we shouldn't or couldn't be set up that way, but that's kind of the whole purpose of this, is to see, do we want to look at reorganizing this, or do we like it exactly the way it is, or that's what we're thinking.
I think one of the challenges, just real briefly, is in the bigger towns like Dover or Dexter, it's mostly just that one town. Like here in this area, we're kind of made up of the SED4 towns, Sangerville, Guilford, Parkman, all of them. So it makes it a little more challenging to just say, let's be Sangerville rec and do everything under Sangerville, because we have a lot more kids. It's a little different. Now in Dexter, they do that, but they have kids from Garland and a few of the outside towns. I guess they just say it's close enough. I don't know. So that's one of the issues. Now Pirate Rec, in the past, we've had different participation levels. So they may be open to changing the structure as well, because being an independent sort of the towns does have a lot of extra issues that comes with it. Because we're not like a tax-free organization, we have to pay for our own liability insurance. There's a lot of extra costs, and just the economics of this area are not really, the richest community. So we keep our fee at $20, which is extremely low. So, but half of that, $20 almost goes to the liability insurance,
Which you wouldn't have under,
which we wouldn't have under, if we were under the school or if we were under one of the towns.
under municipality, you wouldn't have it.
Right.
Right.
And then also like to apply for grants to do anything, we're not a 503C status because we're just kind of like whatever, so if we are affiliated with a town that was, we could apply for more grants and get more work. But right now it's,
Right.
Do the other towns support you guys? I mean, financially, all, this Parkman or an Abbott, do they?
Well, they have a softball, Parkman has like a full-size softball field, and Abbott has a T-ball size field. But because of the dwindling numbers in the last couple of years, we've chose just to consolidate everything over here. One, it's less maintenance, to maintaining more fields, and, you know, when it's T-ball, it's really, you can almost do it any place you have a good field, you know, so like this year, we did everything over in Sangerville, and it just, but no, we definitely by far, Sangerville provides us, you know, obviously we have the 2 fields that we're using in the park the most, in the soccer field, so we definitely get more stuff from Sangerville. Now in return, I think kids from Sangerville residents, Guilford has a good summer rec program that goes all summer, so, you know, there is a little bit differential in fee, $10 more or something, but that, I think that's Guilford's big contribution probably to the recreational part. But definitely the smaller towns, Abbott, Parkman, Cambridge, they don't contribute to the same level as Guilford or Sangerville. But I just did this handout just to give you a quick background on Higher Rec, and I don't know exactly everything, but I think it formed around 2004, to the best of my memory, because I was kind of moving to this area at that time. So basically, when like Abbey Fowler kind of changed and went to the consolidated school model, that's when a lot of the rec stuff, I think, kind of said, because then Sangerville had its own rec, Guilford had a rec, Parkman had rec, you know, they all had their own things. And then I think once they consolidated, my understanding is that's when they said, let's have Pirate Rec, kind of like one big rec, where we would just collaborate together and have 2 or 3 people from each town to kind of run and stuff. So we're all volunteer based, you know, all the board members, the coaches. You know, we offer soccer, field hockey, basketball, baseball, softball, golf. Now you have T-ball and, you know, different levels of that, so it's quite a bit. We basically focus on everything before the school starts. So we're like pre-K to 6th grade. So once they get to 7th grade and up, then the kids are on the middle school teams, you know, then on to high school. So we do all the stuff before middle school. We were doing about 100 kids, but more recently the enrollment is dropping, so now we're like more like 85, you know. But we were doing about 100 kids per season, you know, just the last few years. So obviously that's, you know, say the same kid doing a sport in this fall, like soccer and basketball and baseball, you know, it's the same kid, but we're doing about maybe 1/3 to 40% of the student population participate in Pirate Rec. So you add up all the number of kids in those grades and the number of participants.
It's 1/3.
It's about 1/3 to 40%. I think what sometimes happens is we find kids in the early programs participate more, but then once they get to like maybe 4th grade, 5th grade, they either decide athletics are not for them, or they lose interest, or they do whatever else. So our numbers kind of change there. But it was definitely not unheard of when we did like the young kids to have over 50 kids just from, you know, pre-K, kindergarten, 1st and 2nd. So again, you know, we kind of pride ourselves on keeping the fee at $20. We do a $50 family cap, so if you have 3 kids, you still pay $50. If you have 4 kids, you keep it at $50. But in order to, you know, that compares to like $50 in Dover. Now Dover pays, they have to pay people on their payroll, so that's part of the difference. But they also get funding, because the town pays Foxcroft to do stuff. And, but in order to keep it at $20, we have to do a lot more concessions, and like that's why we host some of the playoffs, to bring more people here to make some more concessions. So it requires a lot more volunteers to kind of to support this model. And again, you know, we just put it out there, $2,500 for the insurance premium. So again, you know, that's about, you know, $8 to $10 of our 20 just goes towards that. $6, $7 for a t-shirt, and then you're left with $3 to buy any equipment along with money you fundraise. We offer 2 scholarships to every year to high school seniors. We offer 2 scholarships to a student that would usually in a more athletic achievement, but also an academic side as well. So that's kind of fire rec in general. I wish more people were able to make it, but it's just hard in the summertime.
Yeah.
So,
How much do you offer for the scholarships? Or does it vary per year depending on what?
it's
you
currently
got?
$250 per, so $500.
Wow.
We didn't do it this year, but in the past years, we also did like tuition assistance for summer camps. So if a child wanted to pursue further skills, go to like a basketball camp or something, we would contribute, say, $500, and if there was 5 applicants, they each got 100. If there was 10, they each got 50. So we would just allocate whatever $500, whatever the board felt was enough, and then we would divide equally among the applicants. So,
And do you exhaust your budget every year to zero?
not necessarily. I mean,
Just
you
depends.
know, we change our model from going from buying T-shirts every season to like trying to do uniforms, and so that has helped us save money. Because within the $20 fee, we used to have to spend $5 or $6 just on a T-shirt every year. But instead, we tried to go out. We got a few sponsors to put on the back of the shirts for uniforms, so we've been able to kind of save some of that money. But we have done, like, in the last 5 years, we've done lots of playoffs and stuff, so we raised a lot of money. That's why just recently we were able to contribute $5,000 to the gazebo and park project.
Yeah.
So, I mean, our goal is not to hoard money, obviously, but it's to reinvest in
Sure.
programs.
Sure.
But in order to reinvest meaningfully, like $5,000, it does take a while. You have to save up, and every 3 to 4 years, you can contribute something big,
Yeah, that was a very, very generous
Oh, yeah.
contribution.
You guys are making it work.
Yeah.
There are 2 lanes here. There's the park, and then there's the recreating, the sports aspect that you guys, that Pirate Rec kind of focuses on. And they don't necessarily align all the time. I have people that have visions for that property that some of you may not even have considered. But so I'm kind of, one of the things I'd like to be able to see us get to is where we have a park committee as opposed to a rec committee. Because that piece of property is beautiful, and what we've done there so far is really very good, but I think there's a lot more potential. There's a lot of waterfront there you can't even see. Not that we could clear those trees, but
It's also called money and volunteers, and, Jason
Sure.
and I pretty much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys are the ones that have
I
made
mean,
the
Jimmy
park
Bell,
beautiful.
he was very active, but obviously due to his health issues, he had more limited capacity.
And we just go recruit people and give them heat stroke and.
But the potential is really, I mean, there
There's a lot
could
there.
be picnic areas, there could be walking paths. I know that Jimmy had a plan for that at one time, and you could, I look at Crosby Park, and Dexter's a nice piece of property, but this could put that to shame. So it's really a lot of potential. But that needs kind of its own steering committee. And I think a lot of that could be done through fundraising and volunteerism. It isn't necessarily that the taxpayer is going to have to build walking paths. I'll bet we could get a lot of it done.
Yeah, there's a law you could do at the park for fundraising, but also bring awareness to get people in there. But, it is hard to get volunteers.
And some of them only want to do one thing. I mean,
Yeah.
something like Hillary, I said, if you can just help us with playground equipment, then you're not committing yourself to the whole thing. And I think if you can find people that will just help you with one project, it will go much better. Because then they're not committing their life to being like Jason's committed his life.
Yeah,
to saying about rec, but to find a person to just help you with one part of it is easier than trying to get them to do the whole thing.
We're finding it in every department in
Right.
terms of participation. It's, you know, everybody has kind of a wish list, but boy, to get people to help you push that wish list, it's hard.
And I mean, we plan, and hopefully it doesn't rain at the first concert, we're gonna be selling 50/50 tickets. We're gonna have some concessions here so that we can keep raising money, you know, to keep putting into it, but you're not gonna get rich overnight, you know, all of that. And we've got our sponsors for the bands for the next 2 years anyway, so it's gonna keep going as much, and we're not asking for town money to do that part of it either. But you can only take so much from the well, and people,
That's where it's hard, because asking the same people all the time to do stuff, I mean, businesses around here aren't making millions of dollars, so.
and we all go to,
And they get tapped over and over and over.
From everybody, yeah.
we set budgets for donations and
Right,
everything.
we do too. And it's like tapped out, or we have like set things that we know we do every year, and then there's like an ancillary fund that we can do a little bit extra, but.
I mean, that's where we are, I mean, but now Sangerville is on our, every year we're gonna budget $1,000 towards the concert series, I mean, so that's kind of built into the credit union's budget now, so Guilford gets 1,000, Dover gets, you know, wherever we have a branch office, we kind of send out some money. But you can only ask so much of people.
Maybe can we go down the list on page 2? Just, these are just some of the top level items that we kind of did this spring up to now. So we placed the 75 rocks around the multi-purpose field that was in lieu of the fence. Number of the fence was like $15,000, so obviously we didn't want some yo-yo to drive a car across the field. So we wanted to put the locks, you know, that was a combination with, I can probably never say his name right,
Who laser?
Naser, yeah, he helped us do that. We constructed the handicap ramp on the backside of the gazebo. We had a contractor, Dustin Lander, that donated his labor. The town bought the materials on the back. We purchased the lattice, but we need the contractor to put the lattice around the bottom, the skirting around the bottom of the gazebo to keep animals from getting under, and also just to give it a good polish look. We planted all the grass in front of the gazebo. That whole low wag referred to the lower section there. So we did that. That's starting to finally come in. We got 2 nice flower planters for the front, on the front steps of the gazebo, thanks to Rhonda. We recently just got a great deal at Rockwall Garden where we got 2 crabapple trees and a whole bunch of flowers for $50. That was mostly a donation. So we just planted the crabapple trees, so one kind of, when you're looking at the gazebo, off to the right in the front and one on the back. We tried to take into account that if people are getting a picture or something, maybe like a wedding or high school, that the tree is not like, you know, taking too much room, so it's off to the side. We planted 6 white pine trees along the perimeter of the woods line. So during the construction, the grading, there was one area where we dumped a lot of big stumps and stuff, so it doesn't look too pretty. So the white pines will hopefully kind of close up that hole. We got we installed along the baseball, the front field, no parking signs in order to help keep traffic in the proper cars, people parking in the right spots. We have the game on the front field and the back field. There's always a concern that the road gets too narrow and like emergency, one's fire truck couldn't fit through. So we put up the signs, we stationed some no parking signs. So people actually did pretty good. I was kind of surprised. We did purchase 3 handicap signs, but we didn't get them installed, so we still have to do that. We designed the new white sign and installed it along Route 23. It's sort of the signature part of the park. We constructed the flower bed under the sign. We got Rob Haley with Ready Rock of Central Maine and Marty Taylor. They helped us out. They put it together for us. We did a small capital campaign, and we did get some money from that. So we sent out all the thank you letters. We try to be very cordial. Anytime we ask for money, we try to respond back with thank you letters. We painted the lines in the basketball courts. We painted the front concession building and the little deck. So under the front of the building, there's a small deck. So we painted both of those. We replaced the window in the concession building. Painted the 2 front dugouts. Both of them get a lot of sun exposure, so every 3 to 4 years you probably have to restain them. We applied to the Stephen King Foundation, working with Chris
Winstead.
With economic development in Dover. We didn't get the King Foundation. We also applied to Maine Community Foundation. We did receive $2,400 for that. We got the corporate sponsorship for the summer 3D concerts. So we're working with Rhonda because I think the grant's going to cover all of that, so we may be able to repurpose $1,000 slightly different. We did the 3 bands, one this Wednesday, August 15th and September 5th. So we got the vinyl banner we put out, we've been advertising like on social media, that kind of stuff. We advertised and because so these are just some of the major things that we just did this spring, up to now. On the back page, a couple things that we want to keep our eye on is the Lieber Foundation grants. You can only apply once per year, so we applied last August. You can't apply, if you get denied, you have to wait a whole year. So we're kind of debating, do we reapply, what do we put in there, do we change it? What we applied for was really the fence, $15,000 to put the fence. And then talking with Hillary, we were hoping maybe to get some grants focused on childhood obesity, reducing it. So we thought playground equipment, because that's kind of a need. Some of our playground equipment's getting old. Moving the multi-purpose field over there, it's kind of nice to have like something over on that side. Because when you have soccer and all that, it's too far away for kids to be up near the front. So like a swing set or something might be good. So we're kind of trying to collaborate with Hillary to see what might be out there. Some of the things that we still want to get done would be putting the lattice around the bottom of the gazebo. The bottom of the handicap ramp, it needs to be kind of more flush level with the ground, so we got a little tweaking there to do. Landscaping the front, putting some shrubs in, things like that, more permanent perennials. Putting in the handicap signs. We are getting some signs of dog issues all over the place. So we might need to go more like a big park where you actually have the bags and stuff. I don't know. We have the Poopa Scoop signs. There's one at Public Works that fell down, they never put back up. And then there's another one that needs to be installed that's kind of leaning on a tree. So we need to do that. We did have discussion about putting in a walking trail maybe, something like that. I'm not sure if we would have time to install any new playground equipment. I'm not sure of the possibility of doing that. And we talked about the basketball timer box, the lights don't work. Well, they're very finicky. Some days they do work, some days they don't work. The whole electrical system around the lights is very, very old. It's very Frankenstein. I think a lot of it was donated from True Textiles many years ago. And so when the electrician, John Jones, he helped us to run the power over to the gazebo. He opened up the box and he's like, oh my gosh. So I think we wanted to maybe see what the cost would be to do that. It's one of those double-edged things. It's nice to have lights, but sometimes you don't want people there too late either. Two residents and neighborhood. So I think we just kind of did a quick count. So we had about 125 practices, games, this baseball season. So that's a lot of people coming to the park, a lot of exposure to the area. And some other upcoming things, obviously we got the concert series. We wanted to collaborate maybe with the jazz band at the school to have them play one night. And of course we would have Pirate Rec soccer coming up and then the fall harvest event. So maybe that and the jazz band would be together.
Whatever we have for fall, and we have a Pirate Rec event there, we should have somebody going asking out information to people from the different areas too. Dexter comes, well, really push whatever we're going to be having.
Not to sort of, and this is an amazing list. It's amazing how organized, and I really appreciate it. I didn't appreciate everything that's going on over there. One thing, and not to change the subject or anything, but I don't want to forget to mention to you, I had a conversation with the Denikas, what's his first name, the Lieber Foundation, he's the general manager or the CEO or whatever. Anyway, and it was about the ice skating rink in Dover. And I said, at the time, I was just saying, well, that doesn't do us any good sitting in Sangerville, because how are the kids in Sangerville going to get to Dover? And he assured me that part of their grand plan, that it isn't for Foxcroft Academy. It isn't just for the people who live in Dover, Foxcroft. It is for this region, and that transportation would be provided. That's all in the grand plan. And so just going forward, I know Pirate Rec is doing all this, all the sports for the kids. I mean, you don't take them skiing up at Squaw or anything like that. But to keep that as something that these little kids start skating really young, and it's the winters are long, and just keep, just sort of in your list of things that you can be providing for these kids here in Dover. I mean, in Sangerville, let's stay on top of the Lieber Foundation and perhaps get grant money for transportation and that type of thing to expand Pirate Rec to ice skating for kids when that all comes about. And I did discuss with him. I said, that's great. Now you have transportation. They don't have any gear. All my kids played hockey, so it's like the most expensive thing to do. And he said, no, we're that is part of the plan. That here you're going to have this facility, and let's make sure kids from Sangerville, Guilford, all these towns, Pirate Rec inclusive, can be a part of that. So I want to keep on top of him about that. And as far as volunteering and that type of thing, I would be happy to take that lead with regard to just that. As far as that, because I had that conversation with
So
him.
is the ice arena still gonna happen? Because last I heard that now
So
they're
it's all
gonna work with.
groundbreaking right now.
Yeah,
Well, they're not even doing too much down there since they tore the building down.
Oh no, it's all dug up out back, the excavators are there. They were there last weekend.
Because I heard that they were building a field house or something out there after
That's a separate.
Well, that's a
another
separate
project.
thing.
yeah, that's a separate thing.
That's what they said that,
We can't even get 13,000 for a fence, but they'll spend 10.
No, I know.
yeah, it's supposed to be a field house in the front, and that's
I think
ice
that
skating.
the issue with that whole project is that it's gonna be managed by Foxcroft
Yes.
Academy. And I feel like that really takes away the community feeling of it.
I agree with
And
you.
I mean, I don't feel that if Jason and I called or Rhonda called and said, Guilford has an event that we want to do there, if Foxcroft Academy had in their mind they might want to do something that day, then we would totally not be allowed to use it.
Yeah,
And I think that they can say that, but realistically, is that really going to happen when there's a big pony on the front of the building?
well, there better not be a big pony on the front of that
That's
Lieber
their
Foundation.
concept, correct? That's their concept of the
The
building.
field house is gonna be FA's.
Yeah, the field house does, and so does the ice hockey rink. It has a big Foxcroft pony on the front, and it's gonna be managed by Foxcroft Academy, and I
I did know it was gonna be managed, but I didn't know that it was
They're putting a lot of funding in.
FA is.
They both are.
so then therefore it's kind of nice to say that it's for everyone, but
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you, and that's what I said to him. I said, that doesn't do us any good.
and the transportation piece, I guess I only question because like I can't even get transportation for our patients to like get to places, you know what I mean? We do have links, but even that's like a hard system, so unless they're gonna have like a school bus that goes all around Piscataquis County, which is like a huge geographic region,
Right.
I don't know how they could ever provide.
So that's unrealistic as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, I can't imagine how that would ever work, but
Yeah.
I'm not being sinister, I'm just.
No. I hear you, and well,
I want it to work,
Yeah.
trust me, I
Yeah,
really do,
yeah.
but I'm not sure where.
Yeah. Well, anyway, not to change the subject. That's a whole different
I
subject.
just think we should stay on top of them. I mean, I
Yeah.
did talk to one of their people. I can't remember what his name is. I think his name's Lucas. And he's
Okay.
here.
About the rink.
Yes, Lucas Butler. And I didn't talk to him about the rink. I just talked to him about like this project and stuff. And he said that they were gonna try to invest like all over the county, but he's never responded to my email since we had our initial conversation. So doesn't leave me feeling very hopeful.
Right,
I mean, we only went 13.5
Yeah, I
for
know.
fence.
right.
Yeah, as the day I had the conversation with him, I felt really good about it. Like I felt like they were gonna, you know, he's like, email me the project and let me know what you guys need, and we'd be happy to help out. And we want to make sure this is a community effort and everyone's included. And so I emailed him and emailed him again, like a follow up a couple weeks later. And
Right,
so,
all right, well, okay, well, it's worth staying on top of them, you know, and, anyway, okay, not to, again, I didn't want to sort of steer us in the wrong direction there, but I did want to just mention that.
This list is impressive, as Jody said.
Yeah, it is.
I'm curious, some of these things, for example, you planted some trees, some apple trees and some pine trees. Did Pirate Rec do that, or did our rec department do that?
Jason and Rhonda.
Okay, so and that,
Well, we're at Sangerville Rec. I mean,
Well,
Right.
that's whatever you want to go.
It's Sangerville Park and Rec, it's not Sangerville Rec.
this to me gets kind of to the crux
Right,
of
of
what
the
is,
issue.
of what is concerning me. This property is town property. And Pirate Rec has adopted us as their home. It seems to be working really great, and they give more than they take. But it's still town property. And we have to oversee it. People can't be digging holes over there without our permission or without some permission. And there's a process for all that. And I only use this example because I think it's really, in this instance, nobody can plant a tree anywhere in town without getting permission. I don't think you can do that on town property.
Really?
Do you think you could walk over to the park and plant an apple tree if you
Well, I
want?
wouldn't ask to do that, but.
That isn't the point.
the
Can you do it?
Park and Rec, I mean, as a committee of the town, they can't do it?
How many trees could they plant? I mean, you'd have to have, you need a plan.
Right.
Or it's just people just doing whatever they want to do. Which, so far, what you guys are doing is all good, but
There's no plan.
there's no plan. And there's no oversight. And that's where I think we're,
They did ask, and I told them they could do that, I didn't figure,
oh, well, that's, okay. But, so that, the fact that they asked proves that they knew they needed permission.
There you go, there you go.
Right.
Well, that's
So,
good.
yeah,
I mean-
exactly. But that's kind of, so, and you did that as a rec committee, not as Pirate Rec.
right.
So, but there's all sorts of stuff that's kind of gets into this
Great.
gray area
Yeah.
as to who's doing what on town property. And that's what,
And who's paying for what on that?
and who's paying for what on
That's
town
where we
property.
get hammered.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, it's one of them.
Yeah.
But not everybody has the
Well,
same
this
view
goes.
with that piece of property either, or any of our pieces of property.
Well, I don't think the town has paid for too much over there because we've been raising money and begging, pleading and borrowing everything that we've done over there.
No, it's just a couple of bad apples in town, see something happening and thinking, the town, you know, oh, my tax pay money is paying for that. So then they go to these guys and.
And then we have to-
them and want to make sure.
And that's why we're having this meeting. Well,
Yeah.
we want it streamlined. This is what we do, this is what you do. And then that way there, everybody knows, and there's not a question. I mean, really, there's two ways to do this. Like Mike said, right now, we're kind of two separate things. We can keep going that way, then that's fine. Or we can put it into one. Makes no difference. But when it's all said and done, our Parks Committee needs to know what their role is. The town needs to know what its role is, and Pirate Rec needs to know what your role is. That's
Well,
what
I
we
think if you
need.
want to have a separate park committee that, you know, Pirate Rec can communicate with when they want to do something on town property. But I don't see where Pirate Rec can become part of Sangerville Parks and Rec, just because it's so many different towns.
They're gonna lose their autonomy. I think
Correct.
that's gonna be aggravating for you, because literally every dollar that you bring in becomes town dollars.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Now, there are some pluses, you wouldn't need insurance. And your vision, you essentially would become Parks and Rec, so your vision would be the community's vision to some extent. But of just eliminating Pirate Rec as a separate entity and making it Sangerville/Pirate Rec, that would be a huge step and a life-changing event for you guys.
And for us,
Yeah,
that's,
I'm not an advocate for that tonight, I'd have to be sold on it, but.
Yeah, I just, how would the people of Sangerville feel about their tax dollars paying for kids in Guilford and Parkman and all that?
Well, we kinda get that now, we get a little bit of that now, that, because we see those shirts were from Dexter. Yeah, and they're using, why are they, we get that already. A lot of people don't understand how it's all funded, though.
Yeah. Could, I mean, just tell people, Pirate Rec's a separate thing, they donate a lot of money.
But they're not seeing also that the Sangerville
Yeah.
people are going to Charleston and playing on those
Right.
ball fields.
That's correct.
They're going to Dexter and playing on those ball fields.
the bigger problem is
It's
the
not all
budgetary. Is, right up till today, we've had, or recently, every budget season, it gets turned into the budget that Sangerville Rec Department budget, we're buying balls, or we're buying this, or we're buying that. And you go to those meetings and they all say, well, we don't have a program. No, we don't have a program. Then why are we buying balls for Pirate Rec? That's the problem. Or that's what I see as the
That is
problem.
one problem, in a budget committee, that always gets, like, I didn't know I don't see it as a big deal, you guys pay us more, last year, for example, you paid us more than you probably got.
Right.
So maybe we could,
Could you just rephrase it in your budget as like support of Pirate Rec, and wherever, like what the money goes toward is supporting Pirate Rec, which would be buying sports equipment for Pirate Rec, instead of breaking it out into balls and helmets and.
that might even be worse.
Really?
Yeah,
Right
'Cause you
now,
got a
it's just,
department in
it's
Abbott that's
in
not doing
like
it.
field,
Right.
maintenance or something like that, but people, actually get the itemized listing of all the invoices when they see, so
What the purchase.
what the
are.
purchase
we
is
literally
for.
have people scrutinize every check.
Yeah.
But did you
Those
have,
people
what
need to
did,
go find something to do with themselves.
Well, yeah,
You
they
can
say
wish.
we volunteer.
You can wish.
Trust me, we get the
I would
phone
hand
calls
out
and
the
we
volunteer
suggest
list.
it.
And I think that's a pretty
That's
easy
okay.
fix. I mean, rather than you donating $3,500, you donate less and buy your own equipment. And that's we're not blurring those lines where taxpayer dollars are going to a private entity. You really don't want that to happen. Now, if taxpayer dollars go to improving a facility, that's perfectly
Sure.
fine, as long as the board approves it, they can do that. So there are areas there that are I think pretty easy to fix, that probably aren't gonna have any impact at all, because you'll just tweak what you share with the town, on the other end.
Or you piss them off and they share nothing with the town, and you gotta think about that too.
Well, yeah, or you take the
Yeah,
whole
but then-
thing and you go somewhere else,
That's right, that's the other side of it.
which I don't think anybody really wants that.
No, but I mean, people are crazy. That's why those of us that wanna sit here and do something good for the town have a hard time, because we end up biting our tongues because of people that all they wanna do is bitch.
Yep.
One of these seats will be open someday, if you wanna try this one
There-
on.
No, there's not enough money in the world. Not in a million years, because people don't get it,
And that's, we're not trying to change it, we're not trying to change you know what I mean, the organization, we're just more or less the structure and how it's laid out on paper, and maybe we can mellow this all out and make it better.
And my understanding was the Sangerville Rec Director was supposed to be in charge of helping to support Pirate Rec. So a lot of times that included like preparing the field for field gameplay, like dragging the field, putting down lines. They also bought the spray paint for the lines, the paint and the chalk. They would buy bases, because you can't have a baseball field without, that. Obviously, the fields are open to any citizen after, when there's not a program there. And they supported us in ways of buying, say extra baseballs or batters, things like that.
No, the rec director's position is prior to Pirate Rec. We had a rec director when we had our own rec league. So what you're doing through Pirate Rec and your board or your role, that is what our rec director is supposed to be doing. That's how that was always done.
Yeah, but it kind of morphed into something different, didn't it?
It did because we don't have a rec program.
So I think that person ended up supporting the rec programs. that was now Pirate Rec, right?
Yeah, but you're kinda, you know what I mean? That's the other thing we hear. We have a rec director,
But
but we
no.
don't have a program. Why do we pay a rec director?
We don't anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
They support the organization that's providing the program. I mean,
That's-
without putting down the lines and all that kind of stuff, then there wouldn't be a program.
Now, does Guilford have a rec director? Do they have,
Well, in the summer, they hire a person
Oh,
and they do the summer rec.
okay.
That has nothing to do with pirate rec, and has
Right.
nothing to do with anything that's done in Sangerville.
Right.
No, that's the way most
Completely different.
communities would do it. In most cities, you're not gonna have a private entity that has the presence that you have in Sangerville. It's just because they wouldn't
Well,
normally
it
be
would
run
all
that
be
way.
one package, but I think it ends up being two different groups in a sense because we're multiple towns within our school.
Yeah, a lot of the towns are unions or
Yeah.
SADs, and you have kids from all the communities. It's really jurisdiction, it's oversight. And again, I'm not saying that we want Pirate Rec to become Sangerville Rec. That's not our goal necessarily. I might be able to be convinced that would be great, but I'm leaning the other way. But that we have some crossover going on that concerns me or us. And I think it's possible to accommodate. I also want to try to have a more robust Parks Committee, where there's kind of a vision separate from Pirate Rec, that we can maybe get the community engaged in that. And not to diminish what Pirate Rec's doing at all, but there's a lot of real estate there, and there's a lot that can be done with that. If we could take that same energy and maybe, we would need a municipal agency, we would need a committee, an advisory committee to help drive that. That's really gets cumbersome for Pirate Rec to be the driver of those things.
Well, that's what our park and rec committee
Correct.
was developed to do.
Except you don't have a park and rec committee.
That's what I was just gonna
Pretty
say,
much
because you
Jason and
can't
me.
have,
Yeah,
like
where-
Jason and Rhonda can't run a park committee and pirate rec, and like, there's only so
Well,
many
we did
hours
have
in
a park
a day.
committee, I mean, we were going pretty good, but then we kind of lost a few people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody takes
But a lot of the stuff that we just did this past year, not the list, well, actually even the list there on page 2 and building the field, were really Pirate Rec people because they were citizens outside of Centerville. I mean, we were trying to get the kids to come over and their parents and all that to kind of teach the kids that, pick rocks, no matter how diminutive the item was, we try to show people have ownership in the park over there. So we had kids come over at 9 in the morning and pick, hundreds of rocks, But, I mean, obviously we could have done it probably faster with the machine, but it was kind of like a lesson that we were trying to show. Every spring, we bring over the teams, we clean up all the winter trees that fall down. We take care of the park. We pick up all the trash that people throw all over the place. Those are Pirate Rec people, those are not citizens of the town doing it. So I understand what you're saying, there's a lot of crossover, but there's also a lot of stuff that Pirate Rec is doing to maintain it.
Yeah, we also cut us a very big check at the
Right.
end of the year.
Right, but I mean, separate from that, just volunteerism part. I mean, the guy that
Those stuff
did
like
built the handicap ramp, he was a Guilford
From
citizen.
Guilford.
But that was more recruited through Pirate Rec, because he's a
Right.
Pirate Rec coach. I mean, he understands that for the next 4 or 5 years, he'll be kind of living over in Somerville for baseball and soccer, for half a year. So he wants that to be a nice looking park as well. And he's a Guilford citizen,
And that's why that's why
And the
Pirate
dugouts.
Rec works, because
Yeah,
your
you pull them
volunteers,
everywhere.
their kids grow older, they fall off, new ones come in.
Yeah.
So you have the same people for 4 or 5 years, but you don't have the same people for 10 years. But that's why that keeps going, whereas a Parks Committee, or something like that, where you're trying to keep it within one town, it doesn't work.
It's tough.
But painting the dugouts, replacing the window in the building, all that was all Pirate Rec people that did all that stuff.
It's awesome.
So in return for some of that, I mean, yeah, you had to buy a few baseballs, a few bats, I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think
but
it's.
you got too many people in this town that.
Well,
Correct,
that's
but I'm
the
just
problem.
saying,
It's
If all those
just,
Pirate Rec people didn't do this kind
I
of
know,
stuff,
I know.
you know, things wouldn't progress to where it is today.
Correct.
That is the problem. It's just with the line item, you know, that it just needs to be a cleaner, neater division of who's who. And again, maybe you're not writing Sangerville a bigger check, but you're paying, you know, you're buying your own balls, and then it's not perceived that the municipality of Sangerville is buying the balls for Pirate Rec. You know, it's all,
So, yeah, you gotta draw the line where you gotta draw the line, and
Right.
you know, and that's the thing. I mean,
I think, you know,
Well,
I'd rather have a reduced contribution from
Yes.
Pirate Rec, and you
Yes.
guys cover those very obvious expenses. And I think I said at the end of the year, you're not gonna lose a penny. I think things like
But you
painting
can
the
definitely bring
course
that
and that,
up.
we obviously should maintain those. That piece of property is a capital investment on the part of the community.
Right.
And you guys are utilizing it exactly the way it should be utilized. That concession stand, I'm sure that generates you a tremendous amount of revenue over the course of the summer. And that is part of Sangerville's capital infrastructure. The taxpayers own that. They don't lease it to you. You guys, you run that little business every time you have a facility.
Well, they probably built that business too. Pirate Rec paid for most of it.
no, and you know, again, the lines get blurred because I'm sure you bought the paint or the stain, whatever, for the dugouts, and you said volunteers, you know, where really, those are our dugouts.
Really, we should have paid for that. We should have bought the window.
We should be paying for the window.
We did buy the window.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
well, that's
okay, that's
good. But you guys put it in.
And, you know, we should be paying, and that's how we need to clean up the division of what's what, right? I mean,
If we're gonna do this separate thing, I think I think we probably should, then I think that's what we gotta work on, is that
What is-
separation.
what's our responsibility?
Yep.
And what's,
And I think the townspeople might find out it's gonna cost them more money than
Well,
they're paying
and-
out of their pockets right now.
It's possible, I think it can be equitable. I think there's money moving back and forth that doesn't, there's no point in us giving you $500 that you end up giving back to us at town meeting.
right,
Let's just, you know, I'd rather get less and keep it clean.
it doesn't do us as much merit
yeah.
as you think it would.
You mean giving us a big check and, yeah, well, and,
Because people forget about
Very quickly.
that.
yeah,
That's the
yeah, that's a tough one, yeah.
I just wanted to say that all those balls or bats, they were all approved by whoever was the town manager, so I just wanna make sure that, you know.
Oh, yeah, no, that's
Yeah, we
what he
know
needs.
that.
No.
We know that.
Yeah.
So everything was always approved, so.
Absolutely. It's just that we get the phone calls, how come we're buying balls for Pirate Rec? You know, and then what do we say? You know, that's where it gets, that's where, you know, who, is it your budget or is it our budget?
No matter what you say.
Yeah, it's tough.
From the rec side of the two of you, are there you have a list of items here that you're hoping to get done this year or things you wanna start. Are you meeting with them, or, I'm not aware of where we stand.
Jason contacts me when he has a project that's imminent that he's, I didn't, you know, not all of the stuff that I knew that he did, but like you said, he didn't always purchase it through the town, or maybe he had paint stock somewhere and they just did it. But he does, like, we're looking right now at the concert series. And so he's saying, well, how much would it cost to advertise? So I do the footwork and find out, well, it's gonna cost this much if you advertise.
So you've
and
kinda
this-
taken over Jimmy's role.
Well, I just working with Jason and,
Right,
I
but
mean, I'm not going out and doing anything on the field,
Right.
but Jason's doing that,
but in terms of expenditures, they can't spend money, you can spend money.
right?
She's
And so-
approved everything.
Right.
We said we wanted, when we submitted our budget, we said we wanted to redo the lines on the basketball courts, because we were concerned that if we wait another year.
Right, I
the lines
remember
would be
this.
Gone, and it's gonna cost twice as much to have the guy come and lay it out. So we worked with Lois to coordinate with Lucas Striping when they did the crosswalks to come and do that.
Yep.
But she gave me the authority to talk to the owner
Right.
and negotiate a price for it.
That's
Yeah.
exactly the way it
So,
should be
you know,
done.
it works
It's perfect.
cooperatively.
That's
Yep.
great.
Some things she says, yeah, Jason, can you do this? I'm busy working on other stuff, and other things, like just recently the Observer, she checked out the price of that.
Mhm. Well, it's remarkable how much you're doing, and I mean, that does not go unnoticed. But
No,
it
but-
just, we just wanna make it so that it's
Stays going.
right.
Because
Exactly.
at the end of the day, it's the town people who are gonna approve this budget. So, the smoother we can make this on everybody else, then the smoother that it keeps going forward.
And I don't want you to leave here feeling negative, because by far, everybody's positive. I can't tell you how excited some people are about this concert series coming up. It's like a big deal.
And it doesn't cost them a penny.
No, they're all really into it, so. I think by and large, it's all very positive. We just we wanna try to avoid any entanglements that could be troublesome.
Pirate Rec needs to stay separate, so
I
no
think-
one go to vote.
I think the next step for Pirate Rec would be like, maybe we can try to get our own 503C status so that we can start applying for grants with our own, within our own system and. I don't know.
I wish there was a way to get a portion of it under us, so they wouldn't have to pay liability insurance. I don't know how we can do that, but it just seems like a shame that,
Do you have like a incorporation at all?
I don't know.
It's just, I don't know.
You're
I forget
just an
what the exact name of it, but
organization.
We're just like a, kind of like a sports booster club, basically.
Oh, sports booster.
I mean, the liability, I assume is for everything. I mean, when somebody's volunteering and working a field, or someone's playing a game, it's for all of that.
And also for directors.
And what?
For directors?
Oh.
So someone couldn't come back and sue me as a director. of
Oh, I see.
Oh, I see.
Saying he was.
And then what about like all the when you've got several towns there and all the cars and all the people and that are there, how does it, is our municipal, is the town,
The town's immune,
right,
But
but
we don't even apply, that's,
is it?
anything on recreation, the town is immune from litigation. But you guys aren't, and that's,
No, and if it's a Pirate Rec event, then that insurance would cover them because it's a Pirate Rec
Okay.
yeah,
event.
yeah.
And you said, and the kids pay for per child $20 and you have, what did you say, $8 goes towards?
Towards the-
Insurance.
You know, $8 of the 20 goes towards insurance, roughly.
Do you have to list the children's names to the insurance company?
Every year when we do the renewal, we basically update the sports we're doing.
Ah,
So like, once we used to do cheering, and that actually increased their premium because of the falling nature. But we don't offer it anymore, but we update our numbers and then, we send it in.
I see,
For the most
okay,
part,
so
the
it's
premium's
a
been-
gross number, it's just a number.
but then even if you could do something for our field, you guys still do your, basketball and stuff like that, so you still need it playing sports up there too.
Guilford gets used in the
And
wintertime.
the winter, we're inside.
Right. But that's what I'm saying though, you still need that liability insurance covered up there.
Yeah, the school district requires it as well from an outside organization.
So in the winter, you're in the, where are you?
Guilford
In
is.
the school district, in the gyms,
In the gym.
say from November 1st through like middle of February.
As Pirate Rec?
Okay, so that's interesting.
Yeah,
So then, that's your comeback too. Well, Guilford hosts them all.
yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Yep.
Guilford doesn't.
Well,
School.
SAD 4.
Your
SAD
tax
4.
dollars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We do basically we have an agreement with the school district, as long as we do a good job. We clean the gym, we pick up all the trash, we do all that custodial type stuff. We're also trained on a building, like safety and stuff. And we have limited number of keys to the building, and they don't charge us a fee, basically.
And when you're in the building, do you do concessions there as well?
On
For those
Saturdays, For
games.
the games, yeah.
And that's all your free and clear, you don't have to give them a portion or anything?
No.
So, and you don't pay any sort of lease or rental fee for the
No.
space?
Right.
So it's an agreement, so that's an interesting,
That's good.
I
yeah.
don't know how you guys make out, but I've been to the round robins that Dexter does, and I wouldn't even wanna guess how many thousands those guys are making a day.
What, at the on the concession?
Unreal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's gonna buy a hot dog and a bag of chips, I mean, you're gonna sell, it's a captive audience, you're gonna sell a lot of stuff, that's great. Well, we need some more park volunteers, if you guys can find anybody.
Yeah.
Who's the bitchers? I'll call them first.
I probably don't even need to tell you.
I have no issue making phone calls. You wanna turn a negative into a positive, come see. Come show
Again,
us some rocks and.
by and large, it's positive.
I mean,
And the
we-
board's all
we-
positive,
But
so.
when we started that gazebo and that whole project, we had a room full of contractors that, and they all showed up.
Yeah,
Yep.
They were all down there, it's how you present it to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they all did their little part, even if it was only one day, they were there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping it's not any of them that are,
No.
because they were all part of it, and it really, some of them pitched in more than others, but it doesn't matter, they all showed up. They all showed up at the contractors meeting, and they all showed up at the bar. Even if it was only for a few hours, they were all there. And Haley's has gone above and beyond for a lot of stuff for us.
Well,
So in order for Pyrrhec, just to kind of have a general sense, because we actually, in full disclosure, we actually discussed this at the beginning of the season, because where I'm kind of on both
Right.
committees. So what we basically decided to do would be, we knew the park was changing in its nature. It was becoming more than rec field, it was becoming more like a traditional park. So we thought for this season here, Pyrrhec would, in fact, we bought our own bats, we bought our own stuff, that probably is some of the gray area stuff. So if we just want to say, from here on out, we'll pay for all the line material, the chalk, and all the equipment, does that seem reasonable, or is that where you're?
Yeah, it doesn't seem.
I think I just think we need that.
Because what I think the rec committee wanted, or the park committee wanted to reutilize those funds to improve the more park type stuff. So instead of spending, say, $600-700 on sort of Pyrrhec equipment to support the programs, Pyrrhec would pay that stuff themselves, and then they would keep that same money and use it for stuff to improve the park.
Yes.
So
And
maybe it's buying croquet equipment and stuff like that, so people can play croquet. Because one of the things we talked about back in our committee meeting is how can we engage, we're doing a really good job through Pyrrhec engaging like youth, but how do we engage like just everyday citizens?
We're
and
hoping the
seniors?
concert is part of
So
it.
the concert's one thing, I think we talked about like a croquet tournament or some different things like that, but of course you need,
Yeah.
I mean, we can't run that, we can't donate every weekend to our do this, so we need someone, to help spirits and the organization of some of this stuff.
I think we need
So-
something on our website. I think would help. I mean, if you guys have ideas, what you need volunteers for, or a direction of that park, there's a ton of people that do use the town's website. So maybe that might be a way to try to get, like you were saying, somebody more interested in one thing to help with.
If you're not asking the world of them, then they're willing to help out a little bit.
But I mean, if we could get something up there with different thoughts or ideas of where you could use help, then maybe that might help get more.
Yeah,
people
like you were
involved.
saying, break it down into categories, we need this many volunteers to work with this, and we need this many for this, and maybe put something like that up on the page.
But see, that's where the sort of the overlap of Pyrrhec works good, because if we have like, say, 100 kids doing programs, and every kid has 2 parents, that's 200 people that we have their names, and we kind of use our teams and we
yeah,
kind
they
of
have
sucker
vested
them into
interest.
volunteering.
Sure.
Yeah,
To
no,
do stuff, we try to take advantage of that, but if
No
we're
question.
totally like too separated, then.
No, I think the
Afraid that some people
crossover,
won't get any
in some
volunteers.
cases, is helpful. You're the eyes and ears down there.
right.
You know when that window needs to be replaced, or this
Right.
should be painted, and, I mean, so for us to buy the paint is no problem, because you got a bunch of kids to volunteer to help put it up. I mean, that's real synergy there. So, I would,
The park and facility expenses separate from.
that's,
Exactly,
exactly, on the
exactly.
That's
ledger.
what I think.
Exactly.
Yep,
The money's still gonna get spent. It's not gonna change. I mean, we're not looking to take, we spend this much, so we're not buying balls, we drop $1,000.
no, that's
Yeah,
not
no,
the goal
no,
there.
That's
no,
not
no,
what
no,
we're-
no.
I think that's what Pyrrec at our meeting, I don't know, back in March, April, we said that we would probably spend the money themselves, Pyrrec did, so that the Sangerville Park could reuse that money in a different way.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of happened this season.
And again, you guys could help us in ideas of where we could use it. Cause you are down, I mean, you see what could be helpful, more than maybe we do. And we encourage that.
Kind of one thing at a time. If somebody has an idea of a croquet tournament, you know, if we can reach out to some people and ask for volunteers for one specific thing, you know, make them think this isn't a lifetime commitment. This
Right.
is, you know, we need people for, you know, one event, and then hopefully that will snowball into other things.
And you can get those people, I mean, Wednesday night, as long as it doesn't rain, Jason, I have people come in to help do concessions and stuff, or
Yeah.
sell 50/50 tickets, but I'm not asking them to do anything
Right.
else, just this one night, will you help us? You know, so that
Right.
we can do it.
Right,
If we had like, you could do, like, if you had a horseshoes, you know, you could have a horseshoe tournament, but you need,
You need people
you know, 3 or 4 people to
running.
take it by the horns and do it. You know, if
You
somebody
want
else is passionate about something else that you could do there, you know.
yeah, you're gonna revitalize the disc golf thing.
That was, it was potential, yeah. Now, there were some people that were, I mean, from a Pyrrec standpoint, and sometimes you get undesirable people that visit the park in terms of what they do there.
You think?
And our disc golfers, they tend to like the new law change of legalized marijuana.
They usually play at 420 though.
Yeah. So, you know, some of the activities that happen there, or there's a lot of beer drinking all the time, and we find a mess, like, you know, when we go to play baseball games, there's beer cans here and there, you know, there's, I mean, I guess that's gonna naturally happen in a public space, but.
Yeah, but still.
But, I forget where exactly going, but, yeah, that was one of
The
the things,
golf.
there was some people that were there the last couple summers, I spoke to them and I said, hey, would you guys volunteer some of your hours if the town provided some funding to, you know, get a few more baskets, so you had 9 of them, would you guys cut the brush around them and kind of take ownership of the piece that they like? And they all said, yeah, but then, I don't know, they haven't really been around this year, I don't know why,
I think
but,
maybe we should also look at signage for no smoking, and there's new signage that I can probably get from the state that like shows like a marijuana leaf and like a vaporizer, like a vape
The
pen
vape.
and a cigarette, and it says like no, 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 so that people associate everything with smoking, because people sometimes don't associate vapor smoke with smoking or marijuana smoke with smoking, or so. And there's no signs down there that say no smoking, because I don't think that there's actually a town ordinance maybe that says that they can't, but that's also something I could like type up.
I don't think you're supposed to smoke on that property, right?
I think there's a policy.
There is a policy?
I think there
Okay,
is.
I'll take a peek at it and just.
I'll see if I can
Town
find it,
property?
yeah.
It wasn't even allowed in the town garage even, was it?
No,
Nowhere. But the park, if it hasn't been addressed, it can be addressed.
yeah.
We're drug different in there, we can.
Drug and alcohol free.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and maybe just putting some signs out, and then maybe just updating the policy so that we have something to go back on. And
Yep.
if there is an incident, we can actually say, you know, our policy states.
And
We'll
you
check
could-
the policy.
You could
Yeah, we
probably
have
put
to
like a
have-
time frame in it too, you know, nothing after, you know, parks closed from 11
Or
PM
even
to
when
6
kids are on
AM.
premises. I mean, have a sign that when children are on fields, let's say fields,
Maybe everyone parks at smoke.
because
I
I'm
would
gonna
just
get.
do it straight across the board. If you're gonna do no
Yeah.
smoking, no drinking, I put the signs up and it's all the time.
Yeah,
It's a
But
public
that's
place,
like-
it's,
When a guy goes and puts his boat in
Oh.
and he's smoking a cigar because he's going fishing.
I don't think anybody's gonna worry about that too much, but it's when you're out by the,
And we're never gonna be able to police that.
With the kids and stuff.
But during the sports and all of
Right,
that.
right.
but that's why I wouldn't put times and, or anything like that. I would just
Because we
make it
can't
straight,
police it,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just.
If this is your
all or
rule all
none.
across the board, then that's your rule.
I think the other one that's probably a little more sensitive is the fact that we closed off like the beach area to keep cars more out in the open. From my perspective, I think it worked very well. I understand certain people can't get down to the water, but I think it keeps all the cars up front. I know the patrol officers have told me they think that's a better approach. most beaches you go to, you can't drive, you know, within feet of the beach. And I think when that was totally open, I think there was a lot of sort of stuff that we're trying to clean up occurred there. And, you know, we all have full-time jobs, we can't be down there, you know, telling some guy.
We should have had that in January.
Yeah, I still get that complaint about the rocks and not being able to drive down there.
But it's a hay scale, I mean, you clean up this bad activity, but then unfortunately someone has to walk down to the beach. You know, I don't know which is better. You don't have garbage all down there and mosquito all over the place, you know, it was a nightmare before.
Well, I do think that the plan that you came up with at your meeting, that you had as far as you paying for the sort of the concrete things that Pirate Rec uses, is a good first step, and for us to be taking care of,
The
park.
maintenance side of it,
Yeah, the infrastructure.
yeah,
as long as you don't cut what budget we have.
That's not,
no, that's
no
not.
indication of that.
No.
So will the rec, if we're not gonna have a rec director, is that salary gonna get put back into that budget?
Conceivable
We
that
don't have a
argument
line,
could be
we don't
made,
have a line on the budget.
and then we don't.
So,
Right.
we have a budget, rec department, this was your dollar.
So his money came out of that.
Yep.
It
All
is,
that
yeah,
same
it's a
bucket.
flat fund. I did assign values to line items just so that we had some place, but I can remove all of that line item and just make it one line.
That just makes it easier for some of the things that we're having a hard time getting money for.
Yeah, like the playground equipment.
Parking.
That could go for budget.
Parks maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's all it
I
really
mean-
needs to be.
Yep. And it's just an investment in the town like any other piece of property the town owns.
right.
And if you can get people to stop and see you have a great town, and maybe they wanna live in Sangerville, and then you get some more tax dollars.
Right.
And people don't understand that. You know, if we have a dumpy town, people are just gonna close their eyes and drive through it. If you have a nice town, they might decide they wanna stop and play.
That's right.
Clean it up.
Yeah.
I mean, when we do the softball tournaments and things like that, I mean, through the rec towns and stuff, I mean, we get like tremendous amount of comments about how great the facilities. I mean, a lot of the people have seen the improvement of the soccer field, you know, that whole thing, and sort of the evolution of that. I mean, we get tons of comments on that. So that, you know, people are like, oh, you know, they can't wait to come to see what new is, you know, like they just saw the sign and, you know, that whole right-hand side of the road was totally transformed. So I think a lot of towns are sort of envy of what we have been able to do. And for the most part, other than, you know, we had the funds for the gazebo from the town, most of it was all done from, you know, what we had as a park committee, raising all the money, going out to the contractors and asking and doing all that. I mean, it was really done without much municipal payroll. I mean, Peter Drummond and some of those guys in Public Works did support it, but most of it was not done with Public Works funds.
They recognize it better when you give them the right address, so.
Yeah,
They showed up in my
I had a
house.
big softball.
Oh,
tournament.
are you kidding me?
Oh.
People were showing up at this house.
What, with their GPSs, they
Yeah.
ended up at your house?
Sangerville Boat Landing Road.
Yeah. One
That puts you to Center Pond, that don't put you down to.
What's the name of the two roads? Because one's called Boat Landing Road, that's the one down here.
Right.
And
One
what's,
line's Edgerly.
One's Edgerly and one's Manhattan.
Yeah.
But when I can't remember, there was one town, they all.
Pittsfield, yeah,
ended
they all
up,
fall-
Pittsfield ended up on Center Pond.
oh,
so
are you
that's it.
kidding me?
Yeah.
And by the way, the sign looks beautiful. It really looks very, very nice. It's great. I mean, the improvements are,
Are you, there's probably not much scheduling, but are you kind of handling that? If there's a conflict, like, because there was a church or a
Last summer, there was a church that wanted to use it in the afternoons during the week, and I had
so
worked
you're
out that there was-
coordinating.
Yeah, but we don't have anything at that for that,
Okay.
right now. Nobody is. We had one person call, but they ended up not calling back to actually schedule it.
But they had the food bank thing, right, or whatever, I don't know what.
They were gonna, they didn't do that
Right,
either.
but that was a request.
Yeah.
does,
But
oh, sorry, go ahead.
You get the schedule and you kind of run that and make sure there's no conflicts.
I don't get their schedule, but if I get a call and a request to use the field, I call him and say,
Okay.
it might, you know. But
Might
if
be
you
good
want
if
it
you
all
got the-
in-house, you know,
And or, yeah, a calendar
It's just a
on
matter
our
of calendar.
website,
Yeah.
that, the
I
park.
think that would make,
Parks
Oh, yeah,
calendar.
yeah, that's a
Yep.
good idea.
That
Put
way
it-
there, anybody could look.
And then you guys can put in all of your activities and.
somebody
then-
might wanna do a wedding there, or, and they're not
Right,
gonna wanna do it
and-
during a
but yet
softball tournament.
Prom,
That's
stuff like
yeah,
that too.
yeah.
Maybe they would,
That's
but-
that's something that's brought up at 2 different town meetings, of
Yeah.
when it's come time to you guys' budget. So I wanna do a birthday party, and I never know when I can do it.
Yeah, so it'd be good to know when all the games
Did they
are.
ever call the town and ask? I mean,
Just
other
that
than
one
that
person.
graduation party that we just had, but the people never showed up. Cause I went down and I unlocked all this stuff for them.
Yeah, no, they didn't.
Remember, we used to get a lot of swear words and stuff, vandalism inside the dugout, so we
Ah.
have gates that we locked,
Mhm.
so kids don't leave stuff in the
Sure,
dugout.
sure.
Unfortunately. So when the graduation was some family was gonna do something, right? But, so we unlocked all that stuff for them, but I don't think they ever showed up.
No.
But that's, that kind of point of contact, then it'll all go
Well,
on
and
the.
I should put something like that on the website though, if, you know,
Yep.
it's available for weddings. I mean, if that's, I mean, we know that's something that you had envisioned as part of the gazebo in the park, was that people would wanna use it. And maybe they just don't know they can
Mm-hmm.
for a wedding or
Something
something.
for a wedding or something like that, the field.
I know those prom pictures they get done down there this year, and I see a bunch of those.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. So I mean, it is getting used more and more.
What did you say about a tent?
I said if someone did a wedding and they like did a big tent, you know, it'd be really pretty, but I just worry if like it would ruin the field and
Yeah,
all.
well, there you go,
For
so,
like the chairs or, you know, like setting everything up on that field, I don't know. But Ron
And-
said maybe on that flatter piece in
Mhm.
front of the gazebo.
Right.
right, and that would be something that the park committee would say, okay, if somebody wants to put up a tent, this is where they can be. They can't be on the soccer field
Right.
because, you know, it's gonna ruin the
And
field.
I really don't think we have the infrastructure for something like that yet. We don't have, you know, the number of porta potties that we need and everything.
Well, they could rent their own if they
Yeah,
want to
for
do
a
a big wedding.
wedding or
Then
something.
you're getting back to the point of what happens when people have weddings, what do they do?
Yeah.
Drinking.
Drink and smoke, or whatever.
And liability, I don't know like how that would work.
That's true, you couldn't have alcohol
I
there.
think it was the upstairs room, the building use form, that was gonna kind of be reused.
There was a
to-
use form that I
Was maybe.
Yeah,
the-
cheated from another town,
Oh, okay.
and it
If
has
you put no
guidelines and
alcohol,
stuff.
You wouldn't have any weddings probably, so.
Yeah.
But there, I mean, there were
Other
kids down
towns,
there
yeah.
this spring taking prom pictures. I had no idea. I would have gotten down there with flowers sooner if I had thought that they were gonna do prom pictures there, because it just wasn't ready.
Right?
But next year I'll be ready. To make sure that there's stuff to make the pictures look nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know they had prom pictures.
They did,
Mhm.
and several of the Sangerville kids took their prom
Yeah.
pictures there.
I guess the upshot is we're supportive,
Mhm.
and we appreciate everything you guys have accomplished, and we just wanna make it work as smoothly as we can.
Mhm.
So we're looking for ideas, and let's just keep the dialogue going. So,
Well, I think
So a couple of the big things that come to mind from an infrastructure standpoint is we have a major issue when we have games that there's speeding cars going down the road. So we had talked about putting in like speed bumps or some caution barrel kind of things to slow down cars. But it's hard to explain how fast some cars actually do go through there.
you might as well,
you mean on the road to the
dirt
lake?
road, yeah. So they're in a hurry to get to the back and, I mean, you got all these
Seriously?
people, you know, right behind home plate,
Yeah.
kind of right on the skirts of the road or in the road. And you get some Yahoo with the radio turned up loud, or not even that even, and they just drive by like way faster than they should. I don't know if it's 10
Jeez.
miles, I don't know. I know
It's
with
plenty
yours,
fast with, especially when there's kids there.
Yeah.
right,
Mm.
if
So
you
we-
can find those speed bumps.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've seen those, Scout Egan uses those for all their little side streets. They put them out every spring,
And
there's
you
all
can take
kinds
them
of.
up in the fall.
Yeah, they
so
take
you
Oh, they're
can-
like a poly, they just,
Yep.
yeah, that would
Lay 'em
work.
out. They're pretty good ones too.
Put them- you can
Yeah,
get a
I've
price on
seen,
one of
yeah,
those.
I've
yeah.
seen them.
Yeah, oh, I mean, somebody could get hurt, and that would kind of ruin
Lori's
the
gonna
whole
ask the
thing.
hospital, she said they have
We
two.
had
They-
two, and we stopped using them because it just caused more issues than they helped, to be honest.
Can you do it on a dirt road
I
versus
don't
tar?
know, because they used to bolt them into this pavement, and then we would take them up in the winter for plowing, but I don't know if, I don't know, we haven't used them for a couple of years. Because
The
Well, we
wide
had
enough to swipe
one.
them now.
And people would drive
Oh,
around it,
jeez.
Right.
which was like
Oh, God.
even worse, so then we put out two and it just,
Yeah, they drive around and then they really
yeah, and then
swipe
it's like
somebody.
even worse.
Because I think with the baseball
Barrel on
game,
each end.
Oh, is there a rock on each
Yeah.
end? Make them, they have to go
with
through.
the baseball game, you know, the Pirate Rec games and stuff, and then we'll do, you know, well, in early part of July, but now with the concert series, you're gonna have maybe hopefully 200 or 300 people there. So you're gonna really need something to keep people driving a little slower. I mean, I know it looks kind of foolish around the middle of the day to have speed bumps there, but when you do have a lot of people there, I think that is a potential safety hazard.
Even if you put it right there where the gate is.
Would you just put it out during the event and then take it up?
What is it?
See, that's where I wonder
I
if
think
you
that's
could,
something.
if we could get the park committee part of it going better, because when you're saying that, I'm thinking, wouldn't it really be nice if going forward, you could have a bigger plan to move that park, the park's playground equipment, and utilize, keep your parking more to the front,
Yeah.
then you don't have to worry about people driving down
Driving
through
through,
there.
except for the boat landing,
Sure,
if people are going down.
but that's all it would, you could keep.
We even had a big platoon boat go right through the other day and
Oh, geez.
almost flattened people.
Oh, my God.
We had all-star baseball and this big boat came through.
And
Yeah,
with
so
that being
that's
said, it is nice for the older people
Yeah.
to be able to drive out back and watch the softball field.
Mm.
It's pretty
That is
fun.
very,
My grandmother would have been able to go
Right,
to any
they
of the
wouldn't-
games.
they
She
wouldn't.
couldn't
I
park
mean,
where she could see
when
it.
we went to East
So-
Corinth this year, how long did you have to walk? How
Holy
far did you have to
smokes.
walk to the bathroom?
It was far.
Well, my father, he only made it center field. He-
Right,
he-
my grandparents didn't make it, they'd never make it out.
I guess I just,
Walk.
yeah, whatever. I'll shut up.
Because we're kind of thinking like, you know, now that more stuff is gonna be over near the gazebo, we kind of moved the porta potty that was over near the playground over to where the gazebo is. Now you have people like crossing the road more frequently than you probably did, say, 3 years ago, before we had the front parking lot. So cars coming in and out of there is a big issue.
Well, signage is a start,
Yeah.
10
yeah.
miles an hour,
I love
at
it,
least
yeah.
get them thinking.
Five.
Five, yeah.
Five.
That's pretty fast, actually.
4.5.
What about an additional-
4.5 mile an hour.
But is it possible where they cut like a culvert in half and then actually make a physical bump in the road? Thought Peter Drummond or some, one of the public.
Squish it
works guys-
right out.
Well, the plastic ones? Or the-
They plow that in the winter?
Either,
Yeah.
one, yeah.
Yeah, so they
How'd
can,
you get out there?
Snowmobile.
How'd that pan
I
out?
think you need thin ice sign too.
I like the poly idea, if we could get one of those, it's kind of,
They make them.
you could deploy it when you wanted it,
You can just lay them down when you want to lay
Yeah, they
them
may,
down.
I have a catalog that's got all that stuff in it.
yeah. What about an extra, what about an additional, bathroom? If you said you got one on one side of the road, what if you had one on each side of the road?
What we really want is like a nice cement pad so that in the summertime they could set up a man, well, not men and women, but a handicap and then 2 others. Because you don't have any handicap porta potties either.
Okay.
And I'd like to see a cement pad with a nice, 3-sided fence around it.
Right.
So it looks nice.
Yep, yeah, no, the state does that at the boat launches, and they
Yeah.
look good.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, if you're gonna do one of the, I mean, you could get one with a tank in it, and the town just pumps it once a year.
But that would look nice, and then right now we don't even have one that's handicap accessible, and there really should be a handicap.
Yeah, that's what, they got the huge door on one of them, and
Exactly.
if you go to all the major boat launch, Rockwood and
I would like to
Greenville.
see that down behind where they park towards the gazebo, and then in the summertime, you could still keep one up back for the kids that are playing on the ball fields too, but, I mean, like Wednesday night, we just got 2 little porta potties, right?
Oh, we have 3 now.
3.
We have 2 in the front, which is closest to the gazebo, and then we have 1 down back for more or less the voters and the beach people.
But if we had a nice cement pad to set them on, then they wouldn't be tipsy, and it'd be easy for the pump truck to drive up and pump them over.
Are we paying for those porta potties?
Comes out of the park.
Comes out of the rec.
What is it monthly, do you know?
It's $100
$100.
For one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, when we did the softball tournament, we knew there was a big influx of people, so Pirate Rec paid for that porta potty.
Right, 'cause you're gonna be
Yeah.
able to-
That
yeah.
period, so that was-
Yeah, that makes sense.
Makes total sense.
Yep.
But we left, because porta potties, the big cost, to bring the porta potty for 1 weekend for the softball tournament was $100, but to keep it there for the whole month was $100. So we decided we would just keep it there the whole time.
That was smart,
Just
that was
to
smart.
allow-
Yeah, for the concert and everything else. Yeah. Yeah. Well, It's just, yeah, defining the lines, making real, it's gonna make this work better. So.
Porta potty's part of infrastructure.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah,
I'd be open to
We're always
brainstorming
paying for
that.
it. I mean,
we've unleashed the
Well, we
monster
put it
around
in, wasn't it the Stephen King grant
Yeah,
that we
we
had
tried to
actually,
do
we
it.
tried to get it with the fence? Just the structure, not the porta
Slab.
potty rental itself, but the slab and the fencing around the three sides, but
Did you get a price on it?
We did.
$1,500, wasn't it, for the fence, and then Robbie figured $1,600 for the
something like
slab.
that, yeah.
So we're talking, what, $3,200 probably?
Cause we went a little bit higher on the fencing to
Just
just
to
kinda
make it-
hide it a little bit more than, you know,
Mhm.
than just the regular fencing around the field.
Mhm.
So,
And I put up like a white vinyl composite type, so that looks nice too, so.
yeah. So you could use the back side of it for pictures.
Well, it also gives them no room to try to tip them over or anything if they're
Right.
kind of
Oh,
enclosed in
great,
that
yeah,
fence. I
yeah.
know people do things,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but if you have it, you know,
Yeah,
there's no way for them to get behind it and push on
Mhm,
it to tip them
mhm.
over if you have that fence fairly close to it.
Yeah.
I have no idea what it would cost, but it'd be interesting to look at the state's model. If you go to, Baxter State Park or anything, they're basically, they're
All the
modern
same.
outhouses.
Yeah,
But they've got tanks below ground, they pump them every year, and there's not much that vandals can do to them.
if you go into any of the concrete places out of Bangor where you buy a septic tank,
Yep,
you can
American
buy
concrete.
a
tank.
outhouse tank.
Yep.
Which is, it's a concrete tank with a cover on it, and it literally has already pre-made with the seat right there. And you-
Really?
Yeah, you
Oh, yeah.
just build your building around it.
and the fencing's got spaces, so it's well ventilated, it's not like you're going into a sweat box like these, these things in August have gotta be brutal.
Yeah, Yeah.
But when you go to these, the Rockwood one, cause I launched my boat out of Rockwood, it's very nice. And it's, like you were describing, it's handicapped because you got a huge door on it, wheelchair can go in there easily, and it's all, like I said, it's virtually bulletproof. They just pump the thing out every year and,
Just a big tank. A lot of camp owners are getting them.
The
Cause
only
it's the
thing
same
with
deal.
that is, you gotta remember, what about water?
well, there is no water.
Exactly.
But it's no different than, it's a different way of doing it.
They're dumping a chemical in it, so they don't smell.
Yeah.
No, but what are you flushing, where are you getting
Oh,
the
you don't even
new?
flush
No,
them?
you're
No,
not.
it's an outhouse.
It's an outhouse. It's a porta potty without a board.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
And you see them with the brown stockade fence around them, they all basically look the same, and they got a space, and
That's all they have.
they work
It's a
great.
cement tank.
An aluminum chute with a seat
puts
on it.
their stuff in them.
They must pour a chemical in them, cause they don't really
They don't smell.
reek.
And
I wonder if
there's
like porta potty
septic
companies would service them,
Well, any septic company would pump it for you, so you might pump it twice a year, or whatever,
but like
to
the
use
smell
for.
of the
I think
chemicals.
it's just you dump it in, just a chemical.
Next time you're at a boat launch, just go look at one of those.
And they're all the same, like all the state?
Yeah,
they're
Baxter
all-
State Park, they're all the same.
So,
They
yeah,
probably have a spec.
yeah,
So-
Even down in Acadia, they have the same ones.
is that right?
But it would be, it might be expensive, but we do it once. We
Right,
never would
and
have to
that's
do it
it.
again.
That's it.
I mean, the big thing is, no one wants to be the town janitor, but, I mean, we don't have public works, we don't have any people to
Yeah,
sort of add toilet paper and do all that type of stuff.
yeah, well, that's a valid point, where when the porta potty guy comes,
And
he,
it's kind of funny, how people's behaviors are. I'll pick on the girls, but whenever we don't have the porta potty right down in the softball field in the beginning, they all like complain that they have to come all the way up to the front. And to some extent, it is a little bit of an issue because you have, young kids. Now the coach is trying to conduct practice and trying to keep track of, 12,
Who's
15
really-
kids.
yeah.
And then little Mary has to go way up to the front
well,
field,
that's not good.
up near the road.
Yeah, that's
And
not
then she
good.
kind of wanders back, talking to people. You don't know where she goes.
Yeah,
So
that's
it is kind of an
concerning.
issue.
Well,
So
still-
it's always good to have the back one down near the softball field, but it is kind of funny people's behavior to porta potties.
Hmm.
They always complain like there's not one, just like right around the corner. So that's the challenge about building a really nice pad with a nice fence. You would only have one on the premise probably. And
Yeah, I
then,
mean, you need more than,
people would come all the way up. I mean, that's,
But
Well, that's what I wonder,
What's
if you
the
get a hold of a
summer
porta
months,
potty,
you
like
could
you
pay
said, if
for
they
it.
maintained it, what they would charge if we put one of those in.
Right.
And you'd have the same service you have now, except for it would save them, it would be a lot better and last a lot longer.
And you could still bring in, you had a big event, you could bring in two, and, you know.
We'll put one down back.
But they're not that expensive.
And I think that the town is spending around $1,600 and we're right on porta potties in a year.
So that's a good number to
It might
know.
be slightly higher because we have an extra one right now because of the concept theories, but we have some funds to pay for that.
We just can't say we used to pay for it.
But this is exactly what, like, a Parks Committee would be
Right.
working on.
Yep.
Sure.
Which is
Yep.
great. Just to continue to improve that park for
And
everybody.
you have insight to the
Right,
needs,
what the
like
needs.
the logistics of, you know, what people have to actually do.
We already had that discussion in our park committee
Mhm.
meeting. I mean, that's why we put it in the King Foundation grant.
Mhm.
But obviously we didn't get it, so we have to continue with the same model.
Mhm.
And our goal was not to come back and ask for anything from the town, that was our goal. So far, we've done pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, anything
All right.
else? Any of you, anything else? A motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All in favor? Unanimous? We